Gentlemen, welcome to the Colorado Food Magazine podcast. I'm excited to interview you today. We're here at Dee Tacko, 2403 Champa Street. We're here with Mario, Juan, and Matt. It's a joint venture of MobCraft Brewery and Dee Tacko. They have a store open in Pueblo, been very successful. They've done one of those things where they've turned the ship right into the storm and opened up during COVID-19. And I understand some of your tacos are named after the pandemic.
Absolutely.
And we're going to cover a lot of things: why you started, what makes you guys different. I want to learn a little bit about your history, your family, and then what the future looks like. So let's start with you, Juan. What does tell us about how this got started?
All right. So, MobCraft Dee Tacko. The way that it got started, after a year of me and my brother opening up Dee Tacko in Pueblo in Juneteenth in 2020, we were struggling. We drove from Brighton, Colorado to Pueblo, which is a 2-hour drive every day. We wake up at 6, 7 in the morning, drive to Pueblo, work there the whole time. Once my brother and I were done cleaning, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, then we would drive back just in time to take a shower, go to sleep, wake up the next day. Most people would think that's extremely hard. It is, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. And after a year of being open and that struggle, we decided, hey, we need to grow. We need to grow. My brother was like, we need to grow fast and in a hurry. But one thing I told him, I'm like, hey, we can't do this alone. We have to do this with someone. I need help because I've been in the restaurant business for, back then, a year. Now it's been a year and a half. And I don't want to fail, but I need mentors. That's how I grew up, knowing if you have mentors, they can teach you how to move, how to do different things. So we were talking about this, and literally a day or two later, Henry's cousin, Henry is the CEO of MobCraft Brewery. He came to Dee Tacko and he was just like, hey, your tacos are amazing. This is great. My cousin wants to open up a brewery in Denver, and he's looking for help from a restaurant.
A food partner.
Yeah, a food partner from a restaurant. And I got chills down everywhere, and I'm just like, let's call him yesterday. Let's call him right now. And he gave me his phone number. I called Matt. I called Henry right away. I'm like, Henry, let's talk. I left him a voicemail. He called me right back. We had a meeting for 2 hours. We talked nonstop. The way that we both saw what we wanted to grow,
and the vision,
exactly. And it was wonderful. And we were like, all right, let's talk business. Let's get something together and let's tour this place. And look at this. We are opening up a humongous 10,000 plus square foot facility in downtown Denver.
Right there on Champa Street. A lot of it was the Brewery before, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Matt here. Before I get to Matt, I want to talk about, you have your logo behind us. You have some tacos named after the pandemic.
Absolutely.
What are a couple of those?
So when it comes to jumping a little bit, I'm a little hesitant. My brother, he's the one that's like, you know what? If they give you the train, you take it and you run with it. And my brother was like, we're gonna make this taco our number one selling taco, and it's gonna be this name. And I was like, what is it gonna be? We're gonna call it the COVID-19 taco. And I was scared. I was just like, no, we can't name it that. That's very taboo. It's something that people are dying from. And he's just like, hey, we're opening up during the pandemic, and we want to be remembered for opening up a restaurant, for opening up this legacy, for opening up this empire with the COVID-19.
So it's Cesar's idea?
That was Cesar's 100% idea. And I went with it. And, last time I checked, in December of last year of 2021, we have sold 151,000 of just the COVID-19 tacos.
Really?
Just that one taco, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. So what makes your tacos different from other ones? I mean, they're all good. I mean, we all have our different flavor profiles. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying there's not a tremendous, but what's unique about yours?
What I feel is the unique is we don't cut corners at all. When we are offering the meats that we use USDA certified Black Angus sirloin steak. We use real mark on first crop vegetables. Literally, the list of our ingredients of all of our tacos is less than 10 ingredients on all our tacos. You can go to our kitchen right now. Anyone in Pueblo can go to our kitchen right now and be like, show me the spices. And they will show them 3 spices. It will show them salt, pepper, and adobo. And that's all the spices we use.
Really?
There's no need to use anything else because you can get a little lost in some of those flavors. And I'm not making anything bad about that. I used to work in really fine dining restaurants where we do have to use a bunch of ingredients, and I love using all ingredients. But I wanted to give the people, hey, whenever I'm tasting a piece of steak, that's what I want to taste. I want to taste that. I want to taste the cilantro. Yes, I want to taste the cilantro. I know that there's cilantro in this. I know there's jalapeno. I know there's tomato, and a lot of people don't have such a crazy sophisticated palate. But when they can taste what you're eating and they can see what you're eating, I feel like that differentiates us from anyone else.
Well, great. And you're going to pair those. Before I get to Matt, though, and Mario, I want to talk about behind us, you have your logos.
Oh, yeah.
How did you name Dee Tacko? And there's some unique features there that I didn't catch till you told me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just some great design.
So the name Dee Tacko, it's a little bit of an interesting story. It was gonna be called The Taco, like THEE, like we are the taco place.
Right.
But my brother's kids couldn't say the. They couldn't pronounce the TH on that part, so they kept saying Dee Tacko, and it stuck. That stuck 100%. I was like, dude.
So there's some family history here.
Yeah, exactly. And Dee Tacko, it's like there's a D-E-E, and then with the T we couldn't do different things. But so if you can see our logo, the D has a taco built in, along with the moon. We get lots of power from the moon, and that's something that I adore. On top of the T, we have the jalapeno that we use because we're always going to be using jalapenos. And then on the taco part is TACKO, not TACO, because we are a knockout. The very last 2 letters, we're a knockout taco. And then also on the K, you can see a number 1 being drawn there. That's why when you see me, Chef Cesar, Chef Mario taking pictures, we always raise up our number 1 finger, our index finger, to show that we can be number 1 and we strive to be number 1.
Oh, that's great. So now I want to talk a little bit about, before I get to Matt, I want to talk to Mario. How are you involved in this, Mario?
Well, my history is a little bit like crazy or funny because we are family. This is a family business, which is kind of crazy. Is I born in Tucson, Arizona, and I grew up there for just a couple years. They take me back to Mexico in 2007.
He's our American brother.
Yeah, and then I grew up in Mexico. I finished all my school over there, and it was something really cool. After I finished my high school in Mexico, I was like, what am I going to do? What's the next step? And I said, you know what? Let's go to the United States. Let's see what's happening. Let's see what's that community is. And I go all the way to Oklahoma. There's where I met my brother, Juan. And then what's that crazy story, because I started like working everywhere. I remember I started working in construction. After I get tired of construction a couple months, then I jump to McDonald's and I see all these different foods. Like, it's like, whoa, that's crazy. And then after that, I get tired. I jump to cleaning stuff, and then I jump to trucks projects like bullet liner, stuff like that, spraying liner. What's a crazy story? But after all the jobs, I jumped to this company, which is that I start working with food. I was part of the quality control program, which is QA. I was start working with food safety and all those different kind of interesting things. And this was a whole different world for me. It was like something brand new, something super crazy. And then I keep hearing, then my family start building some restaurants, and like, I want to be part of this. And I just take a couple of days off from my company. I say, well, I'm going to be off for a couple of days. And I came to Colorado to talk with these guys, and I told them all the experience that I have in food safety and all that stuff. And what's something crazy, I said, you know what? Join in the team. And here I am after 6 weeks. We're still here, the same routine that these guys have.
But don't get me wrong on that part. When he came, while he was having a couple of days off, I told when my brother was like, hey, Mario wants to work with us. And I told my brother, I'm like, brother, like, let's be mean to him. Let's make sure that he doesn't want to come back. Let's make sure that we're going to tell him, you're going to wake up at 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning. You're going to work your butt off the whole 16, 14 hours, and we're going to come back and we're going to do the same thing again the next day. And I'm telling my brother, I was like, hey, let's scare him, because I don't want him to come back. But if he does, that's family. That's progress. That's I take full pride on that.
Oh, that's interesting. It's the first time that I know that his story. So it's like, oh, so you tried to break me? Yeah, but here we are building this place, working hard with Cesar, working hard with Juan, working hard with MobCraft, right now with Matt, Henry, Andrew, all these great guys, and it just keep learning. So that's what I have.
So they kind of put you through the crucible to see if you would fall out. So you're held tight. That's great. And it's always great working with the family as long as everybody does what they're supposed to do, because they say never enter into business with family, but if you have a hardworking family, if you have a tough love kind of family and about discipline, then it can work. So that's great. And yeah, you always, every time I show up, you're super professionals. Great. It's kind of funny. I love having all three of the brothers here because I'm huge into family, and I understand that. But now we're going to talk to Matt. Matt, talk to us about what sets MobCraft Brewery apart. I met the CEO, Henry. We're all drinking beer here.
Oh, yeah.
It is good. Some about crowdsourced. I want to define that.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about just what's your role, what you're doing. I'm excited about this being open. I look around, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a magnificent place. We interviewed, one of my friends right before this one for another podcast. He's going to bring his whole fire department team down here.
Nice.
And we're going to do what we can at the Hispanic Restaurant Association and the Hispanic Chefs Association, and everything we do to help you succeed. That's our goal, to educate and elevate. That's part of this thing with the Colorado Food Magazine, why we do what we do with you attended the HRA Leadership and Education Forum the other day. I want to talk about your thoughts on that, but let's first go to Matt. Tell us about MobCraft Brewery, that side of it.
Okay. Well, as you alluded to, the crowdsourcing is a big part of what we do. And for those who don't necessarily understand what that is, in a nutshell, we allow people to post beer ideas, whether it be a recipe that they did as a home brewer or a combination of flavors they'd like to see in a beer, or sometimes it's just kind of a weird idea that they think would make a great beer. And we allow people to post those to our the crowdsourced portion of our website, and then people come on and they vote. So people vote for what they think is going to be best, and quarterly we take whatever beer it is that wins the most votes and we brew it. So this gives us an opportunity to do some really, really unique things, even in a brewing world that is about unique right now. We kind of kick that up a notch because we're allowing input from people who may or may not know anything about what it takes to put a beer together. And the result of this is we've done 80 or 90 beers, I believe, that have been crowdsourced. Yep. We used to do them a little bit more often than we are now. We're doing them quarterly now. When somebody wins, wherever they are in the country, we fly them in to Milwaukee, and we do the brew there. We don't brew these beers on a little tiny pilot system, little homebrew system. We brew these on our big boy 30-barrel system.
Really?
Yes. Our brewers are so adept at putting these types of recipes together that they're very confident that they can do it, and they do it on
So where's the mothership or the headquarters for MobCraft?
The headquarters for MobCraft Beer is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we're in.
What's the old beer? I know it's. I don't want to go back, but Pabst was that?
Yeah. There used to be some Pabst being made around there. Yeah.
I know you're much better, so sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's different beers for different people. So
Exactly.
There's times I like a Pabst too. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody. But the crowdsourcing has really been our foundation of what we're doing. And inside of that envelope of working with the community, we also are working with the community from a standpoint of collaborating with various nonprofits and doing our best to be a part of the greater community. And out here in Denver, one of the things that we're very, very excited about is continuing on those collaborations and working with, like I said, various nonprofits. We're talking with a bunch of them right now to bring in people who, again, don't necessarily know much about making beer and say, hey, what would you like to see in a beer? And let's do this together. And we'll do that here too, as well as collaborating with other breweries.
If I came up with, now I'm just hypothetically speaking, came up with the Hispanic Chefs Association beer,
Okay.
or the Hispanic Restaurant Association beer, I could come to you, and if everybody voted in, of course,
Yeah.
I'll rig the system, and you could make our own unique beer. What's the minimum? How does that work?
Well, it's something we do. We're still working out how we're going to operate here in that respect. We want to work and partner with various parts of this community, and we would love to do. It wouldn't be a voting situation. We would love to talk to you about doing a beer. Here our system is much smaller than in Milwaukee, which buys us even more freedom. We're brewing roughly 8 barrels per batch here. Where in Milwaukee we do 30 to 60.
Okay, yeah, it's a beautiful space. I walk in here, it is amazing. And walking into your kitchen, I think you get a holy shit every time you go in there. That place is huge.
Yes.
Like 2,500 square feet.
Yeah.
And you're going to do. I can imagine you doing hundreds of thousands. The demographic, right? Who doesn't love tacos and beer? Who doesn't love what you're doing? Who doesn't love a community partner? All the things you guys are doing. That's pretty incredible. So let's talk about where you guys grew up. Mario, we're going to start with you. We started with you with Tucson, Arizona. Juan, you mentioned that you didn't have a restaurant background.
No.
How'd you get started in this? What made you go over to the crazy side?
So it's very interesting the way that I grew up. I moved from Chihuahua, Mexico, to the United States when I was 3 to 4 years old. We went to Illinois, Southern Illinois, not Chicago, Southern Illinois. So it's all, cornbread and chicken, very, very, very redneck, very, 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 Caucasian.
Southern style.
Yeah, very Southern. So people are like, man, you don't have an accent. I'm like, I grew up there. I grew up with, you want me to talk in good old country accent? I can do that too, so. So,
here's the PR side in case somebody wants to know.
Exactly. So I grew up there, and my story of cooking is actually a little, it's not the best story, but my mom and my dad, they separated. They got divorced when I was 11, 12 years old. And whenever they did that, my mom, she had to raise me, my sister, my brother, and so she had to take on a very big role in working a lot, and she was an artist and a taxidermist, and making $25,000 a year for 3 of us. We lived in a very comfortable trailer. To me, whenever I'm a kid, to me it's
the norm.
It's the normal, going to restaurants wasn't ever a thing for me at all. Like, we couldn't afford to go to restaurants. We ate beans a lot. I don't like beans, but we ate beans because that's what was the cheap,
what was the
rice.
nickname somebody said earlier about beans?
Beans is what did you say, brother? Mexican caviar, yes.
I'd never heard that. That was pretty funny.
So whenever they got separated, my mom had to do a lot more work. So I started jumping in the kitchen and helping out cooking for my sister, for the family, and I'm just like mixing flavors, horrible flavors, but I was just like, man, this is so much fun. This is so much fun doing it, and I actually went to culinary school for just 1 semester. And when I went there, I was glad that I just went for 1 semester because I learned the basics. But someone told me, hey, you want to learn real culinary school? Go apply for, high-end, any restaurant job. And what I do, I looked up the best restaurant, the fanciest restaurant in Southern Illinois, and I'm like, I'm going to apply there with no really, just knowing how to.
No experience.
With no experience. I applied there, like, do you have an experience? I'm like, no, but I'm willing to learn. And he was kind of like, oh, okay, we'll call you. And 3 days later, I called him again. I was just like, hey, I'm just letting you know that I'm very interested. And he was like, okay,
I'll call you.
I'll call you. And then, a week later, he called me. He was just like, you know what? You're the only person that called to apply for this. After you applied, you're the only person that called, and you seem like you're ready to work. And I'm like, I am. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, but I want to do the what's best. And so that's what I did. I started working in some culinary fields for a little bit. And eventually, I got kind of tired of it. I got kind of tired because working in the culinary world, or in the fancier culinary world, you're working every evening, every weekend. So, my friends, whenever they want to hang out in the evenings, in the weekends, it was not a thing for me. I was always working, always working. So I decided to kind of give that up, and I just went with my business background, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna apply for the best bank there is, and I applied for that bank, and I was working for Bank of America, and I kept moving up from personal banker to a financial advisor to a corporate banker, which I love to do, and living in the corporate world definitely. Once you start getting money, but then you start becoming a number, and that's whenever I was missing my. I feel like I was in all reality. I felt like I was dying working there, because it was just waking up in the morning and just doing this for all these businesses that are growing, and all these challenges. I was getting sad about it, and meeting my brother, telling me we weren't even planning on opening up a restaurant together. It was him, and he was just gonna go and do whatever, and I just offered to help. I offered to help because of COVID. I was working from home, so I decided to help, and here we are.
Wow. So you literally, right in the middle of the world shitstorm called COVID-19.
Yeah, and then
decided to jump ship, turn that ship
Exactly.
into the storm,
Mm-hmm.
and like, this is the direction we're going to go in, and that's where you learn the most. I mean, you talk about the excellence learning, the work ethic. That's what we're trying to achieve at the Hispanic Restaurant Association. All the things we do.
Right.
Educate and elevate. Educate each other. Educate family. Educate fellow vendors. Educate everybody and elevate them. And elevate in the sense of, let's cheer everybody on. Because there's enough negativity going on. Let's help. I mean, what I particularly liked about when we first met, it was via Carlos. Carlos Felix, the executive chef at Antlers Hotel in Colorado Springs. We had a little issue with booking somebody, and I called you. I'm like, hey, I need your, if you want to be on the show, it was the OCNE show. You did a great job. I mean, you did it right then, and it turned out to be a magnificent thing for you doing that. And you do. You exude confidence, you exude excellence, and you follow through with what you do, what you say you're going to do. And I can see why MobCraft, like, you know what, that's great. Yes, we're going to do that. And I think it's a great joint venture. I see it's a great thing for people working together. I see bridging cultures with your joint venture. That's the big thing to me. Because I walk in and out, and Celine and I, all the different cultures. We deal with the Latin and Hispanic culture. Most of my background is from the U.S. military, so I a lot of friends that walk in that. The business culture, the just about every culture you can possibly in, I step in and out, and I feel comfortable in all of them. And that's what I want when people deal with the Hispanic Restaurant Association, the Hispanic Chefs Association. I want everybody to see excellence. Yeah. And that's what, MobCraft, that's what your brother here, I need to see some ID. I saw you drinking a beer. So he forgot it. Oh, no, imagine that. But everybody looks young to me nowadays. But I just love that part. If you guys had a life philosophy, and I'll start with the young one, he'll be like, "You weren't going to tell me you were going to ask me this question." What would you guys describe your life philosophy? What do you want to achieve, big picture here, beyond just, of course, making money? What do you want to achieve? I'm going to start with you.
Well, honestly, the main thing is do the things right. Never skip steps. Never do trying. Always, I like this thing it says. I always say, try to give everybody the thing that you would give it to your family, which is one thing that I learned in quality control too. So do the stuffs right, and always try to do the best of your job, and everything that will come after that.
Great. What about you? That sounds like pursuing excellence. As I said, we all have this mountain called life that we're climbing, and it's hard at times. I mean, it's extremely hard at times. We all have our unique paths. So, what's your life philosophy, or if you can impart that?
Right. Yeah. My biggest one, and it's I learned it a lot with my brother, and it's hard work. It's working, and working smart, working hard, working. There's no such thing as luck in my end. It's just about keep pursuing, keep working, keep going. That's one thing I tell my brother too is like I never plan to retire. Never. I want to keep opening up restaurants, keep pursuing new ventures until the day that I physically can't or until I die. So hopefully I won't die.
What did you mean by working smart? Everybody works hard. The Hispanic community in general is always known for working hard.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to educate, elevate, make them the best they can be. So not only you work hard, but you work smart.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody. We all know this. I mean, look at just like the Mexican community or the Hispanic Latin community is known for working hard. Mm-hmm. We want to use this platform to show the excellence of the Hispanic community in the Latin side, and also anybody that comes along our journey. Let's all do this together.
Right. So the working hard for me was, again, I was in the corporate world. I worked hard for that company. As in, I would wake up in the morning and do my best to work hard. And then I had more of a life epiphany where I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired of working just hard. I need to work smart. So working hard for me was, okay, yeah, I show up to work all the time. I do my job. If I'm a dishwasher, I come and do the dishes really hard, do a great job. If, I'm a plumber, I'll plumb very hard. But working smart was, okay, how can I get out of this rat race? Let's go into building a restaurant, something that that I'm good at. What's working smart? Working hard. What's working hard is build this restaurant to where it's at. What's working smart? Growing this restaurant to meet up with Matt, to meet up with Henry, with MobCraft. After this one, we're gonna work our butts off. We're gonna work hard, but then we're gonna work smart and opening up the next location in Springs. And then we're gonna work hard on that, and then keep going. Working smart is meeting you. Because I could be working hard, just typing away in the computer and just doing everyday things. But working smart is expanding your network.
Right. I want to talk about the meeting we had, the HRA Education Leadership and Education Forum the other day. I want your thoughts on that. But before I get to that, I want to talk to Matt. And speaking on behalf of MobCraft Brewery, what did you see in Dee Tacko?
The story that Juan told is really how it went down. Henry, who incidentally Henry is from Denver, which is why we came out here in the first place. Henry is our CEO and one of our owners, but he immediately felt a bond with Juan when he talked to him, and that was how things
progressed.
That's how things came together. Absolutely. I came in as a result of that.
Oh, nice. So what did you see, Juan? What did you see in MobCraft?
What I saw in MobCraft wasn't the beer at first. It was the energy that Henry had. That's
and the excellence and the passion.
Exactly, and that's it was. I did some research on the company, but I didn't want to dive deep in it until I met the CEO, the president, because if me and him can't see eye to eye, if we can't be cohesive, then I don't care how great the company is. It's someone that I'm going to be working with, someone that I can,
aligned mission and values.
Exactly, yeah. Ideals, yeah.
Nice. That's great. That's what we see. I always talk about aligned mission, aligned values, and if it doesn't fit, don't do it. Otherwise, it's going to be you're beating your head against a wall. Speaking of mission and values, teamwork, and all the things, you attended the HRA Leadership and Education Forum the other day, where we brought in we had the chefs, we had the restaurant owners, we had vendors, we had people. We just invited everybody. We had Mr. Bobby Stuckey, a world-renowned restaurateur.
Oh, yeah.
I gave a magnificent talk on leadership.
Yep.
I mean, it was spot on. Loved it. And then we had Caleb and Josh give their talk about menu engineering. And they're also great leaders in the community because they give much more than they receive. Right. And so tell us, what are your thoughts? I mean, this is an impromptu question.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I left with so many business cards and so many contacts. One of my, Bobby Stuckey. It was great. I asked him a couple questions, and he gave me his email address, and we're gonna get together, and he's gonna maybe hopefully mentor me a little bit on how to grow this location. I also met Heidi's Deli.
Yeah, Heidi's Broken Deli.
Yeah, Heidi's Broken Deli. And one question that I had for her, I'm like, hey, she has restaurants all over the nation, and I was just like, you know what, I'm opening up restaurants here in Colorado, but my next fear is how to go outside of Colorado, how to go. And she was just like, email me, let's set up a what do you call it, a meeting, and then I'll show you what I know. And that was a great, networking. If you're working smart, you're getting as much network. I met this gentleman, Villanueva, tortilla maker. He's a small tortilla guy.
Orlando from Bits and Pieces. Yes.
Orlando, yeah. And he's saying that he's ready to make his company bigger with tortillas. And I'm like, dude, can you sell me 1 million tortillas this year? And he was like, really? I'm like, well, yes, let's do it. And he was like, all right, I'll give you samples.
Right, and that's the purpose of what we're trying to do with Hispanic Restaurant Association. We're trying to network people. We're trying to educate people. We're trying to elevate people, help each other. Because we can't do it all. It's everybody else that's willing. We just want to point people in the right direction, connect with one another, and always help one another. Yep. That's our goal. So I'm going to turn this one to you there, Mario. What does the future look like for you?
Well, that's a good question, actually. The future looks always being together. I feel like that's the more important thing, because we growing this together. We have to be together. But like my brother Juan say, he's trying to get out of Colorado, try to have a couple restaurants here in Colorado. Now we have one with MobCraft, which is something great. All this beer is awesome. And yeah, just keep growing every single time. Like he was explaining, I think in the Spanish podcast, was every 6 months. Every 6 months, try to open another restaurant, trying to always keep the same quality, obviously, always the same flavors. If you go the one in Denver, you go the one in Oklahoma, where we're from, always the same flavors. And the future is that. Keep growing, keep meeting new people, great people like you, great people like MobCraft, great company like the videos, the guys that are doing this. I feel like that's the future for us. Always being together, working with the community, and keep growing. That's great. So I'm going to end with, I'm going to ask each of you, and I, as a young man, I'm old as dirt compared to you, is remember to be a good leader, you must often or should be a good follower. And we're going to talk about leadership. I'm going to ask each of you to do a short, what do you consider a good leader?
Well, I don't have like the great answer for that question, but like I feel like a great leader is the guy who understands what he's doing, the important of the things that he's doing. Like I barely know how to run a company, how to be part of this big community, but I always feel like being a nice person, being like sometimes professional, that's the thing that a great leader grow up, which is understand that sometimes people learn a different way than somebody else. Nobody learns the same way that I learn. Nobody learns the same way that my brothers, Matt, Cesar, everybody in this room learn, which is, I think that great leadership or a great leader, they have that experience or that feeling they can talk with this person and always try to make it learn the way you want to learn it, like the way you want it to learn, but always follow his process. I think that's a great leader.
Well, that's a great answer. I liked it. I mean, you're always willing to learn. You recognize that you don't know a lot of things, but you're young. But like that's why you learn. Read. We can always recommend a lot of books. You have great mentors in your brothers and other people around you. So, I mean, good job. Leadership.
Right. Yeah. For me, being a great leader is never forgetting where you come from. Absolutely. Never forgetting how you got started. So if I ever need to, jump in the dish pit and wash some dishes, I'm going to have to do it. If I ever need to be a busboy, like Bobby Stuckey said, yeah.
Right.
You got to do it. So just knowing that, you will always have your employees' backs no matter what happens. To me, that's being a great leader. Not telling them what to do, but doing it with them.
And showing them.
Yeah.
Teaching, mentoring. That's right.
Exactly.
Matt?
Well, I think the first step to good leadership is listening and understanding the point of views that aren't your own. I think that's where there's a lot of failings in leadership. But after that, I mean, as Juan said, you have to lead by example. You have to show, and you have to have a certain amount of strength, and you have to have a certain amount of flexibility and understanding. It's not a cookie cutter world. It isn't, a world full of robots where everybody can just fall into the same path. And you have to understand how to reach people on an individual level or groups of people on an individual level, because everyone's different.
All these answers are entirely correct because it is a multifaceted, multidimensional part of human nature. Everybody's different. Everybody's led differently. They respond to different things differently. But I liked all your answers. Those are great. And we always, I interviewed Zach Wallace right before this. We talk about looking out for the person to the right and left of you and making sure they're taken care of. And it really is. So what do you have for us, guys? This, after this, I mean, you're going to be open when, you think?
Next question. we are doing our best to get open as soon as possible, navigating Denver's permits and all that. I mean, it's basically we'll be open as soon as we can be. We're looking at sometime in March or possibly early April.
Okay,
our best
great.
predictions
Yep.
at this point.
We'll help you try and get through that permit process. And,
Wonderful.
and
Thank
stuff
you.
like that. Do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
So, Juan, anything for us?
Thank you so much. I'm so glad I met you that one day where you called me, hey, I need a restaurant tomorrow. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And you look back, you're like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, we'll do it. I called my brother. My brother was like, all right, let's go buy all the ingredients and let's try out this kitchen because we still haven't cooked in this kitchen yet. I'm always up for saying yes and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to do magnificently. It's you have a great attitude. It's inspirational. I love that. I know you're going to succeed, and we'll do everything we can, like this podcast, and getting the word out about what you do. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.